This is Jason, and welcome to Linxter Integration Demo Part 2 for our Hello World Java solution. In Part 1 of the demo, we downloaded the Linxter SDK and Hello World solution, and we registered our program to the Internet Service Bus, after which we copied its activity ID and downloaded its supporting database. Now in Part 2, we're going to open up Hello World in Eclipse. We're going to add the Linxter SDK reference, add the database, add the activity ID, and in the code we're going to review the one-time step to register and activate the program, subscribe to an event to know when we've received a message. We'll create a communication channel and then call create message to create a message and send it to ourselves. So let's jump right into the code. I've already added the Hello World project to my workspace. So the first thing to do is add the Linxter SDK to it. So I'm going to right click on my library, and notice I'm in Package Explorer. And I'm going to import file system, and I'm going to add my Linxter SDK. And there is my Linxter Java jar. Alright, now the next thing for me to do is add my database. Now the database, it's a SQLite database, and we use it as our encrypted transactional queue for messages that are waiting to be sent. Plus we store our API configuration settings in it. So to add it, I right click on my project. Again, I click import from file system, and I've got to find my database. So in part 1 of the demo, we had downloaded our databases for Hello World. And we have our Windows Phone 7 database, our .NET database, and our Java and Android database. And there it is. Alright, so the next thing for us to do is actually open our code. And the import statements are already there for you in the Hello World solution. And here the Linxter SDK is being instantiated. So the first thing we need to do in the program is the one-time step to register the program instance. So here we're saying, hey, are you registered? If you are, then go ahead and skip this. If you're not, we call the register program instance method call. Now once it's registered, it checks to see, well, are you activated? Now if you remember, when we registered our program to the Internet Service Bus, we had said to automatically activate instances of our program when they're registered and associate them with our web manager account. Now that's the most common use case. There are a couple others that you can take advantage of, but for this it's saying, oh, okay, well, you are activated, and we move on. Now the activation, because of that setting we had made in Web Manager, the activation actually occurs at the time of registration. So from here we just move on in the code and we add our listener. So here we're saying, am I receiving any messages? And if I do, what should I do with them? So here we're just, when we receive a message, we just say message received, and we display the contents of the body of the message. Now we can't receive any messages until we have a communication channel in place. Now a communication channel is a digital contract between two program instances that governs data exchange between them. Communication channels have to be requested and accepted. Now if you remember, when we registered our program to the Internet Service Bus, we had said to automatically accept receive communication requests. So here we're seeing if we actually have any communication channels, and if we don't, we create one. So here's our create request method call, and we're sticking in our own program instance ID. So what happens when the service bus receives that, it says, oh, okay, I'm going to automatically accept it. It sends the acceptance back to the instance along with the communication channel contract. And here we're waiting until we actually have a communication channel in place. Once we do, we go ahead and send a message. So here we do the Linxter create message method call, and that creates the message and sticks it into the outbound queue. And here's our message object. Here we're creating the message object. And here, this is the only required member of Linxter message, and that's the activity ID. Now, when we registered our program to the service bus, we were given an activity ID. And this activity ID needs to be included every time you create a message. And that activity ID is used to associate the message with your program. Alright, here we're adding content to the body of the message. Hello world. You can put whatever you want in there. And here we're saying who the message is going to by adding a receiver ID. And in this case, we're sending it to our own program instance ID. Now, if you had left out receiver ID as the argument, or if you had put an empty receiver ID, it would have become a broadcast message and would be sent to all instances that have a communication channel with this instance. Alright, so create message. If you want to read more about it, go to linxterdeveloper.com. It's our development guide for Linxter. And under the reference section, click on create message. And we have a whole section. We will go into more detail on all the members of Linxter message, the required activity ID, if you're sending attachments, the body, if you want to enable message tracking for non-repudiation. You can also assign different priorities to messages in the outbound queue that are waiting to be sent. The receiver IDs, you can optionally use a secondary queue for outbound messages, and you can assign tags to your messages. Now, under that section, we go into more detail on sending and receiving messages, the message received event, and receiving attachments. So back in our code, we had added the Linxter SDK, we had added the database, we put in our activity ID. We are ready to go. So let's go ahead and run the program. It is registering the program, and it will then check to make sure it's been activated. It has been. It's now creating a communication channel request, and we'll wait till it's accepted. The communication channel has been accepted. It now sent a message, hello world, and we now received a message back, hello world. Alright, this concludes part 2 of the Linxter integration Hello World for Java demo. I hope this was useful for you.